The mind is both friend and enemy. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, text 5 and 6, Krishna tells Arjuna that a person must deliver himself with the help of his own mind and never degrade himself. He says the mind can be the best of friends for the conditioned soul, and it can also be the worst enemy. For one who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. And for one who has failed to do so, the mind works like an enemy. We are not hurt by outside forces primarily. We are hurt by an untrained mind that we ourselves allow to run the show. The soul is pure, full of knowledge and bliss by constitutional position. But when consciousness is absorbed in false identification with the body and in uncontrolled thinking, the same mind becomes the source of bondage. We do have free will, but not unlimited free will. Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita 18:61 that the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, and he is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as one, as if on a machine made of material energy. The living entity has a small margin of choice, mainly in the direction of his desire and attention. Where you place your attention repeatedly becomes the direction your whole life moves. The problem is that most people use this tiny bit of free will carelessly, again and again, feeding the same wrong desires, the same wrong associations, the same wrong thought pattern, until those patterns harden into habit, and habit hardens into character, and character determines destiny. Free will was there at every step, but it was spent unconsciously. Krishna gives the exact mechanism in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 62 and 63. This is one of the most important sequences in the entire Gita for understanding self-inflicted suffering. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment to them. From attachment, desire develops. From unfilled desires, anger arises. From anger, complete delusion follows. From delusion, memory is lost, meaning one forgets his own eternal position and duty. When memory is lost, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls back down into the material pool, meaning repeated birth and death. It begins with nothing more dramatic than simply dwelling on a sense object in the mind. Just thinking about it, that alone is enough to start the fall, if unchecked. This is why Srila Prabhupada always stressed that Krishna consciousness is not primarily a set of external rules. It is a science of consciousness, a training of what you allow your mind to dwell upon. The Srimad Bhagavatam confirms this truth, repeatedly describing that the living entity, out of forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna, identifies with matter and then suffers under the illusion of Maya, which literally means that which is not. The suffering is not something imposed unfairly from outside. It is the direct results of the soul's own choice to misuse consciousness, life after life, by directing it towards temporary sense gratification instead towards Krishna. Prahlad Maharaj in his 7th canto explained that people run after temporary happiness like animals chasing a mirage, not understanding that this same energy is directed towards the Lord from the beginning of life, would give them everlasting peace instead of repeated frustration. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the practical solution, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not only diagnose the disease, he gave the medicine directly in a form every single person, regardless of qualification, can use. This is the deepest mercy of the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. In Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela, chapter 20, the famous verse known as the Shishashtakam begins by describing chanting the holy name as the process that cleanses the mirror of the heart. The heart is compared to a mirror covered in the dust of countless lifetimes of material thinking. That dust is exactly the wrong thought pattern we have been discussing. The chanting of Hare Krishna does not simply add a religious activity on top of an unchanged mind. It directly scrubs the dust of illusion of the mirror of the heart so that consciousness gradually stops running on old destructive grooves and instead settles onto its natural position, which is love and remembrance of Krishna. This is why chanting is called the Yuga Dharma, the recommended process for this age. It is the medicine that works directly on the level of the mind and consciousness, which is exactly the level where the disease of samsara operates. So how do we actually use free will correctly? Krishna gives the positive instruction in Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, text 34. And again, at the close of the Gita in 1865, he says, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage to me. In this way, coming to me, you will attain the transcendental abode without fail. This is the correction of the whole problem. Instead of leaving the mind unengaged, free to wander after sense objects and fall into the chain described in chapter 2, one deliberately floods the mind with thoughts of Krishna. Through chanting, through hearing scriptures, through service, through the association of devotees, the mind, being naturally restless, will always think of something. The only free will choice is this. What will it think of? That single choice, repeated moment by moment, is the entire practice of Krishna consciousness. We can tell people plainly, we are not being punished from outside. We are experiencing the direct results of what our own mind has been allowed to dwell on, lifetime after lifetime. We do have free will, but it is small, but it must be used wisely at the point of attention itself. The chain that destroys a person begins with a single unchecked thought, and the chain that liberates a person begins with a single chosen thought of Krishna, repeated through the holy name, until the heart is clean and the soul remembers who it is always. Hare Krishna.